Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. I have a little bit of a technical crit video for you here. This is the Berkeley Streets Criterium. So my last race video was the Berkeley Hills Road race, and this is the following day, and the two races together were an omnium. And if you haven't seen my Berkeley Hills video, go check it out. It was an interesting day. And my teammate Travis, who is this rider right here on my right hand side, won, and so he's in first place for the omnium. So we were going to try to defend his omnium, so I'm going to talk about that. Going to talk about cornering, because as you can probably tell as we're taking this lap, it's a reasonably technical course, and it's only about a half mile long. So we were doing laps every 50 seconds or so. So yeah, it was a dizzying little race here. So yeah, let's get into this. So my job for this day was to kind of be a little aggressive, hopefully make some of those guys that are in the omnium chase. And if I did get in a break with them, obviously not work with them, and yeah, hopefully just wear them out so Travis would have an easier time in the final push for the line. So I'll talk about whether or not that worked out, and I think we kind of made maybe a few mistakes approaching this omnium defense. But let's first talk about a technical crit course like this. So obviously cornering is going to play a huge role. Obviously you want to start near the front because it's probably going to break up early on. So I just actually, I did that little attack in like the second lap, and normally I would say don't ever do that. It's just, everyone is fresh and it's probably not going to work out as we go through this little right-hand turn, and my teammate Gabriella kind of overshot it. There were a bunch of people doing that throughout the day. I did it a couple times myself. And yeah, so the cornering thing, I'll teach you guys everything I know about cornering. So I think the first thing comes down to your equipment choice. So some tires are grippier than others. And this is David in front of us. So he was an omnium threat. So I'm going to try to close this down as he kind of dodges that little steel plate in the road. That was tricky. It kind of pinched off your line on that second right-hand turn. So equipment choice, yeah. I think having newer tires is definitely a good thing for these type of races, and choosing a tire pressure that's probably a few psi below what you would normally run. That just allows the tire to deform a little bit more and yeah, squish into the road and give you some extra grip. And then, so after equipment choice, I would say you have to remember a few important points with cornering. The first is you need to look where you want your bike to go. So what that means is when you're rolling into that corner, you want to start picking up the apex because your bike is going to follow your eyes. You know, you basically aim your bike with your eyes. And so I like to pick up the apex early, and then as I'm kind of rolling into the apex, I transfer my vision out to a point in the distance down the straightaway, and that just kind of keeps you tracking correctly, and it keeps you from doing something called target fixation. So that is basically when you out of like desperation or fear, you fix your eyes on the obstacle or the thing you're hoping to avoid. And I think some people actually had problems with this, where they kind of were looking too much at this median or the road divider here on the left with the grass, and they would overshoot that corner and run into some issues. And the last thing I wanted to say about cornering is you can see my teammate Jacob in front of me is doing it through that little left-hand bend. You really want to make sure you're lifting your butt off your saddle and really pushing down with that outside foot. So with this right-hand turn, it's your left foot. And what that is doing is it's putting your center of gravity lower because you're putting a strong force through your pedal rather than your seat. And the other thing that it does with road bikes, you basically have two things that are your shock absorbers. You have your tires, which obviously are not very absorbing. I run 25 mil tires, and there's not a lot of air volume in there, especially compared to like a mountain bike tire. And the second and the biggest contributing factor to shock absorption is your legs and your body. So with corners, you're gonna get in trouble when the bike becomes unsettled. So a bump can do that. Making a sharp correction mid corner with your steering input will do that. So you want to try to keep things as smooth as possible. Keep your steering input smooth, and keep that weight through your pedals, because it'll really allow you to absorb any bumps that are in the road and keep things settled. So we're just kind of ripping around here, and what happened was there was a big field split. So really early on, I think like 10 or 15 minutes in, the field kind of split basically in half, and it stayed like that the rest of the day. So I made this front split with Travis and my teammates, and we had Sam, who's up there in the kind of stars and stripes shorts. He is super strong and a sprinter, so we were looking out for him in the final. David, who I mentioned before, was up there in the omnium, and he is an amazing sprinter. He is a beast, a force to be reckoned with. I'll just leave it at that. He can pop off 1600 watts like it's nothing. So we were happy with the field split because I think most of my teammates made it, and it just makes things easier to control. So I was kind of in that attacking role, whereas my teammates Matt and Zach were more in kind of a control role. So you can see my teammate Matt up there. He's kind of keeping it fast and trying to kind of keep things together till later in the race, where we were either going to try to keep things together for Travis so he could just kind of go for that field sprint and hopefully pick up enough points to take the omnium, or get him off the front in a move with hopefully none of the threatening omnium contestants with him. So a race like this, obviously you're going to be trying to find ways of conserving energy, and people always talk about tail gunning, and I think tail gunning works in some cases, and what I was finding is you could almost tail gun out of that roundabout. A lot of people were sprinting out of it, and you could sort of just like let a gap open up and then close it down in this corner if you were confident. The only issue with that is in the P12, when you tail gun, you can't really tail gun in the middle of the pack, because if there's a space, someone's gonna go and occupy it. And so I was trying to do that, and like 2 or 3 riders would just kind of like fill the gap that I was hoping to close, in the right-hand turn, and would hit their brakes and just kind of nullify the whole thing. So tail gunning, I think, works if you literally are at the tail of the pack. If there's people behind you, they're just gonna zip around you, and your tail gunning is not gonna work at all. All right, so we just rolled past the 20-minute mark, and little gaps are starting to form. You can tell by the way people are pedaling, they're starting to struggle a little bit, because it was we were ripping for the first 20 minutes of this race. So I sat in for a whole bunch of laps on this course, because the laps are so fast, and I was gonna try to load up an attack. And I haven't mentioned it yet, but the wind was a strong headwind around that main straight, or down the main straight. So strong headwind, and this was a left to right crosswind kind of through here, but really the only place on the course you could feel the wind was on that main straight. So I have this thing about trying not to attack in a headwind, because usually it kind of squashes your speed, and you can't really snap the elastic as easily, and it takes a much bigger spike in watts to get separation. But you're gonna see coming up here, I kind of come around this corner, with an okay amount of speed, and I'm behind big Sam, our national champion. I just get a little bit of a good draft, and it just felt too good to be true. The field was slowing up, and I sent this attack, and yeah, I wish I had a rear camera. So I have a deal for myself. If I get to 1,000 subscribers, I'll buy a rear camera. So if you guys want to get some cool rear footage action, hit that subscribe button. But that's all I'll say about that. So I am going, and maybe I'll play the audio, but I was digging deep for this. I was full on kind of like VO2 max breathing. But unfortunately, I looked back, and David, one of our threatening omnium opponents, was on my wheel. So I quickly sat up because, I wasn't going to work with him and tow him away from Travis. And I was kind of happy to see that he was the one chasing it down because, hopefully he was spending some energy and wasn't going to have as potent of a sprint going into the finish. So I waited another couple minutes, and I saw the field slowing up again, and kind of like the same exact thing. I just sent this attack one more time through the headwind, and I guess it's not optimal, but you had this climb right here, so if you did jam up it, like I am, like almost doing 1,000 watts, you could build a little bit of a gap. Unfortunately, I never had someone come with me on any of these attacks, so I got separation, and they rang the bell for a preem. And so we knew there was going to be two preems. One was going to be for money. They had like a crowd preem that my teammate Christopher started, which was cool. And then they had a points preem for the omnium. So I was nowhere in the hunt for the omnium. I was working for Travis the day before at Berkeley Hills Road Race. But I thought I heard them say it was this preem was for the points. I wasn't 100% sure, but I was thinking, okay, I think it's better for me to just grit my teeth and try to hold on for snagging this preem so I can keep it away from David and then Chris Coble and the other riders that were kind of in the hunt for the omnium. So I just tried to hold on and stay away and hoover up those points, which was kind of fun. I mean, that's like they do that in like the Tour de France and stuff, so it was a cool time to do that. Maybe it would have been better for me to go back to the field and try to lead Travis out, but I think it would have been just a shit show. So I snagged those points. I kind of wish it was the money, but whatever, it's cool. And I kind of settle into this move and hopefully get some guys to chase me. So I stay out there for a handful of laps, and I get chased back. And I think it was this blue and yellow team, that's Dolce Vita. I think they were doing the lion's share of the work. I saw in my teammate Zach's YouTube channel that I think they were the ones chasing, which is kind of a bummer because they weren't the ones in the omnium. But at least we were tiring someone out. And it's always fun to kind of attack in these races. I usually am going for the sprint, but I do kind of like being more of an attacking rider. But we're about 30 minutes in, and honestly, I think this is the point where we maybe should have started pivoting tactics, because we were kind of being the glue holding the group together, and I think what we were doing was just kind of towing these big sprinters to the line. So I talked about Sam, Masters National Champion. I talked about David, but we also had Nick from Ride Bikes Bro. We had this rider to my left going up there in the red. That's Chris Coble. He's super strong. And I think we aren't a big sprint lead out, Legion type team. I think our forte is more being aggressive and getting our guys in a small group and winning from that. We kind of got away from that in this race. And let's jump forward and see how that plays out. So I'm still going for the attacks, and we only have about 15 more minutes left in this race, but I see a good opportunity to try to punch it up this hill. My teammate was on the front, and yeah, I quickly look back and flick my elbow, and it's David, and he comes through like a freight train. He just is so strong. He's a beast. And we're going around this roundabout, and he goes, and yeah, I think his back tire right there just kind of slid into this little hole and slid out ever so slightly. So that, I think, scared both of us a little bit. And yeah, he was just motoring away. The last little moments of this crit were pretty spicy. So let's jump forward to another moment. So now less than 10 minutes left, and here I am on this is Ariel. He is another former national champ. We have a pretty star-studded field here in NorCal, and he's another very strong rider. He features in a lot of race-winning breakaways. He's a super strong breakaway rider. So we're going through this roundabout, and everyone is starting to jockey because it's hard to move up in these spots. And Nick from Ride Bikes Bro kind of tries to shoot this little gap, and he puts his butt right into my handlebars, and it was funny. It actually kind of hurt my pinky. It was my pinky was sore for a little bit. He squeezed my pinky in between his butt and my handlebars, and yeah, that it definitely got the heart going a few beats per minute faster. I think that in P12 racing, you're kind of used to stuff like that happening. So the biggest thing that will keep you from going down is just staying calm. I think in the lower categories, that type of thing will happen, and people will have a little bit of a freak out moment. And I think the P12 first of all, the P12 field is definitely not safer than the lower category fields. See my Land Park crit video, or the Cal Aggie crit video, if you want to dispute me on that. But the thing that makes the P12 racing, I guess, seem more safe is just, like I said, people remain more calm, and contact is more of a normal thing. But when people crash in the P12, we're usually going faster, so it's more spectacular. So yeah, less than 10 minutes to go. I'm kind of far back here with my teammate Jacob, and Zach, my other teammate, is on the front, and he's just keeping it fast like a beast. He rode the front for, I think it must have been 10 minutes straight, which is incredible. But I think we actually made the wrong call. I alluded to it before, and if you look up there, all these big sprinter guys are just getting an easy ride. I think we should have probably taken advantage of this course being, pretty punchy, pretty kind of favoring of the breakaway, because it's such a slow course with all the turns and everything. You really could make a breakaway work if you got good separation. And I think us controlling was just kind of burning up some of our most powerful guys, like Zach, and Matt was also up there. So yeah, I guess maybe, hindsight's 20/20, but if we're ever in a position to defend one of these omniums again, I think we might do it differently. So I'm kind of far back here, and I tell my teammate Jacob on the left, I'm going to try to move up on this uphill. And this is kind of the problem with being out of position. You have to do these big efforts to get back where you want to be in these final laps. So I think we have maybe 3 laps to go here, and I just had to shoot up over 1,000 watts, whereas the guys that are up here, they're just, they were riding that climb at the regular 600 or maybe slightly more. So positioning is so key in this game of cycling. I was thinking how I could be useful was maybe being a buffer between Travis and the other riders that were in the omnium. So I was going to try to fight my way up to his wheel and just kind of be that sweeper role, I suppose, and hopefully soak up any other points and just make sure that that he got this omnium. So we're going through this right-hand turn, and when we go across the finish line, there's going to be one to go. So Zach just pulled off after his monster effort, keeping it fast for the past like 15 minutes. And yeah, people are really jostling here. So I find myself on Sam's wheel, which is pretty solid, but I'm definitely feeling a little spent at this point. And I'm having to take this wide line around the hairpin. And what that meant was you were kind of in that choppy, bumpy stuff, and you had to give up some speed. So I get jostled back like 10 yards there just off that. And I kind of close it down in the turn. And I think if you wanted to win, you really had to take a good turn and maybe even start your sprint like around here, because this good guys racing, he was super strong. He was attacking a lot. He opened up this gap, and look at how fast it just picks up in this last lap. And David, the Altavelo sprinter, was on the front. He opened up a nice early sprint, and he won and held on, and yeah, took an amazing win. And it sucks. So my teammate Travis, he got caught behind this rider in black who dropped his chain up the climb, and unfortunately we tied in the omnium. And I think the way the tiebreaker worked for this race was whoever did better in the crit actually won out with the omnium. So I think Travis got second, but it was kind of a weird formality because it was a tie. And yeah, that I think we learned a lot. And honestly, Travis rode amazing this whole weekend. I think we should have attacked, but hindsight's 2020, and yeah, going forward, we might do things different. But I hope you enjoyed this race. It was a fun one. If you liked it, yeah, hit that like and subscribe button. Blah 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 blah. Help me get a rear camera, I guess. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys in the next one.